Chief of WikiLeaks. He only agreed to speak to us from an undisclosed location since he is currently wanted for extradition by Sweden, and he's under investigation by the U.S. government too for his role in the largest leak of classified documents in U.S. history. Here is part one of that exclusive interview. Watch. Julian, thank you very much for being here. So let's start with the additional information you have regarding Hillary Clinton. When can we expect this information?
While we're working around the clock, we have received quite a lot of material, stimulated, of course, by the US election process and by our major DNC revelation, which has now led to the resignation of 5 top officials in the DNC, including Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, the president, the last one late last week. So, it's a complex business, what we do. We have to assess the veracity. We have a perfect 10-year record so far in never getting it wrong. We want to keep that reputation, understand how things should be formatted, what media we should be involved in, what is the best way to stage it out. Do we accumulate everything, assess it, publish it all in one batch, or do we do several batches? The approach that we've decided to take is that we do several batches.
But give us a general sense. Are we going to see it before the November 8th election?
Yes, absolutely. In the case of the DNC leaks, for example, we pushed as fast as we could to try and get it in before the Democratic nomination conference, because obviously people have a right to understand who it is that they're nominating and what sort of process was involved. And the same is true here. For the US electoral process, people involved in that election have the right to understand who it is they're electing.
Now, you've seen it, right? Can you tell us how significant you believe it is? Compare its significance to what we saw released by WikiLeaks in July.
Well, I don't want to scoop ourselves. We have a lot of pages of material, thousands of pages of material. So I have not read every single page. We're hard at work in doing that, trying to understand, etc. I don't want to give the game away, but it's a variety of different types of documents from different types of institutions that are associated with the election campaign. Some quite unexpected angles that are quite interesting, some even entertaining.
Do you right now, according to the average of all polls, she's beating Donald Trump by 5.5 points nationwide. She's way ahead of him in most of the swing states, not all. Do you believe the information in your possession could be a game changer in the U.S. election?
I think it's significant. It depends on how it catches fire in the public and in the media.
Joining us now, Chris Stirewalt, our Fox News digital politics editor, and Dana Perino, former White House press secretary and co-host of The Five. Part 2 of our interview with Assange is tomorrow, and wait until you see it. Okay, so this is something a lot of people talk about, which is the October surprise. And despite all the polling we've seen for Hillary Clinton in her favor, whether that guy I just talked to has got the one thing that really could stop her, some sort of a bombshell, that could be a deal breaker for her. Dana, what are your thoughts?
Well, he has the gift of understatement in a way, right? This is what you call a deep tease. So he's going to string us along, and I think that Republicans will probably hope that there is something that will make so many Democrats stay home that it depresses the Democratic turnout and that Donald Trump can somehow get to victory that way. I would imagine, given, he said that they worked very hard in order to get the DNC leaks out just in time. But they did it the night before.
Well, he's admitted that they did that to influence. They want attention.
Make a prediction that whatever it is that he has will come out the night before the 3rd presidential debate.
Oh. Because that's close enough in time to really have an impact on the election?
And because she would be forced to have to answer it on the debate stage. The 3rd debate is the one that everyone pays attention to. I'm not giving Assange any ideas. I'm just assuming this is what he is thinking. Because that would be, that everybody's going to be watching that debate in particular. I imagine that as these debates go, some people will think Trump won one, that she won the other, and it'll come down to the 3rd one, and we'll have this big massive story right beforehand, and she'll have to deal with it.
The thing is, Chris, and we get into this more with Assange tomorrow, he does not like Donald Trump. He's not a fan of Trump. But he really doesn't like Hillary Clinton at all. And I think he He'd be just fine if he released something that hurt her campaign at a critical moment in this contest.
What is Hillary Clinton but the embodiment of the American bipartisan national security state? Hillary Clinton is a continuation, a re-intensification of the American national security state that Julian Assange and others as part of this movement detest when it comes to the national security apparatus that is involved in tracking phone calls, that is involved in all of that stuff.
But not even that. Not only that, he also thinks that she's a hawk. He's pointed to her, pushing of the policy in Libya and getting Gaddafi out of there and so on, which he thinks is a disaster. And he doesn't like her on a number of levels.
Of course, and it stands to reason, because Hillary Clinton would be more of a return to more of foreign policy closer to George W. Bush's. Donald Trump represents a dramatic deviation from American foreign policy to this point, in the sense that he's pulling back.
Here's a question for you. I'll ask you this, Chris. Could anything he released, realistically, given his it wasn't like he said, I've got a bombshell, you just wait for it, right? It was like, it's quite unexpected, it may be entertaining, it's significant, I don't know. But could it really change the views and the votes in this election? Or are people it's hard to believe that people who are supporting her right now might switch over to Trump.
Millions and millions of Americans are going to vote for people in this election that they say they do not trust. That's a fact. It's going to be true on both sides. It's going to be true for Hillary Clinton, that there are going to be millions and millions of people, and the polls tell us, that say they don't trust her, they do not find her honest and trustworthy, but they're going to pull the lever for her anyway. What you need in order, and the Clintons have set this threshold, and the Republicans, oddly, have reinforced the threshold, which is she's either going to the clink, she's either going up the river, or she's going to the White House. Either she is found to be guilty of a serious crime, or whatever.
Or the clink. The fear is maybe not that they're going to switch from Hillary to Trump. The fear on the Clinton people's part. It's that it'll depress enthusiasm.
Right. So if you go back to 2000, that election going into the election day was very close, Gore and Bush. And right before then, remember the news that broke was that George W. Bush had a run-in with the law, with a DUI situation that he had not disclosed. And Karl Rove and others will tell you that absolutely depressed evangelical turnout. Now, if Trump can get this election closer and it depresses turnout on her side, maybe that helps.
Fascinating. Great to see you. You as well, Starwell. We have much more with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, including questions about the mysterious murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich, who was killed last month in Washington, D.C., and whether he was a potential source for WikiLeaks. Assange goes farther than he's ever gone before on that question. Don't miss that extended interview tomorrow night, 9 p.m., right here in the Kelly File. Well, we also have big